Asuras Sanskrit are a class of beings in Indic religions. They are described as power-seeking clowns related to the more benevolent devas, also known as asuras in Hinduism. In its Buddhist context, the word is sometimes translated Titan demigod or anti-god. According to Hindu scriptures, the asuras are in constant battle with the devas. 2-6 asuras are described in Indian texts as powerful superhuman demigods with good or bad qualities. In early Vedic literature, the good asuras are called Adityas and are led by Varuna, while the malevolent ones are called Danavas and are led by Vritra. 2-4 In the earliest layer of Vedic texts, Agni, Indra and other gods are also called asuras in the sense of their being lords of their respective domains, knowledge and abilities. In later Vedic and post-Vedic texts, the benevolent gods are called devas, while malevolent asuras compete against these devas and are considered enemy of the gods. Asuras are part of Hinduism, along with devas, yakshas, nature spirits, rakshasas, fierce man-eating beings or demons, bhutas, ghosts and many more. Asuras have been featured in many cosmological theories and legends in Hinduism and Buddhism. Munya Williams traces the etymological roots of asura to asa, which means life of the spiritual world or departed spirit. 6 In the oldest verses of the Samhita layer of Vedic texts, the asuras are any spiritual divine beings, including those with good or bad intentions, and constructive or destructive inclinations or nature. 6 In later verses of the Samhita layer of Vedic texts, Munya Williams states the asuras are evil spirits, demons and opponents of the gods. The 5th century Buddhist philosopher Buddhasa explains that their name derives from the myth of their defeat at the hands of the god Sakra. According to the story, the asura were dispossessed of their state in Triastramsa because they became drunk and were thrown down Mount Sumeru. After this incident, they vowed never to drink Sura again. In some Buddhist literature, they are sometimes referred to as Purvadeva Pali Pabadava, meaning ancient gods. 7. Asuras connote the chaos-creating evil in Indo-Iranian, collectively Aryan mythology about the battle between good and evil. 6 Finnish Indologist Esko Parpola traces another possible etymological root of asura to *asura minus of Uralic languages, where it means Lord Prince. Scholars have disagreed on the nature and evolution of the asura concept in ancient Indian literature. The most widely studied scholarly views on asura concept are those of F.B.J. Kuiper, W. Norman Brown, Hug von Bradgotto, Ben Venist, No Rajwe Dankar, Dharmastita Bandakar and Raja Banerjee Sastri, Padmanabhaya Skoldsk, Roy Kumaraswamy, Shamasastri, Paziliski, Schroeder, Burroughs, Hillebrand, Tarapuwala, Lommel, Faustball, Segistit, Theme, Jurstjevich, Boyce, MacDonald, Herman Oldenburg, Jeldner, Venkatswaran and Jangonda. 2-1-37. Kuiper calls asuras a special group of gods in one of major Vedic theories of creation of the universe. 20 Their role changes only during and after the earth, sky, and living beings have been created. The sky world becomes that of devas, the underworld becomes that of asuras. The god Indra is the embodiment of good and represents the devas, while the dragon Vyatra is the embodiment of evil and an asura. 20 During this battle between good and evil, creation and destruction, some powerful asuras side with the good and are called devas, other powerful asuras side with the evil and thereafter called asuras. This is the first major dualism to emerge in the nature of everything in the universe. 22-1-2 Hale 1999 in his Review 2 states that Kuiper theory on asura is plausible but weak because the Vedas never call Vyatra the central character and asura as the texts describe many other powerful beings. 2-3 Secondly, Rig Veda never classifies asura as group of gods, states Hale, and this is a presumption of Kuiper. 2-3 Many scholars describe asuras to be lords with different specialized knowledge, magical powers and special abilities, which only later choose to deploy these for good, constructive reasons or for evil, destructive reasons. The former become known as asura in the sense of devas, the later as asura in the sense of demons. Kuiper, Brown, Otto and others are in this school. However, none of them provide an explanation on how, when and why asura came ultimately to mean demon. 2-4 Ten asuras are non-believers of God and believe in their own powers. 21 Ananda Kumaraswamy suggested that Devas and Asuras can be best understood as being similar in concept to the 12 Olympians and the Titans of Greek mythology. Both are powerful but have different orientations and inclinations, the Devas representing the powers of light and the Asuras representing the powers of darkness in Hindu mythology. 22:20. According to Kumaraswamy, the Titan Asura is potentially an angel Deva, the angel still by nature a Titan in Hinduism. In the 19th century, Hogg pioneered the idea that the term Asura is linguistically related to the Ahurs of Indo-Aryan people and pre-Zoroastrianism era. In both religions, Ahur of pre-Zoroastrianism, Asura of Indian religions, Vipanavan and Deva Deva are found, but their roles are on opposite sides. 2:3-8. That is, Ahur evolves to represent the good in pre-Zoroastrianism, while Asura evolves to represent the bad in Vedic religion, while Deva evolves to represent the bad in pre-Zoroastrianism, while Deva evolves to represent the good in Vedic religion. These contrasting roles have led some scholars to deduce that there may have been wars in Proto-Indo-European communities and their gods and demons evolved to reflect their differences. 2:23-31. This idea was thoroughly researched and reviewed by Peter von Brad in 1885. In the earliest Vedic literature, all supernatural beings are called Devas. 6:30-31-32 and Asuras. 2:5-11-22-99-102. A much studied hymn of the Rig Veda states Devavasuras, who have become Devas, and contrasts it with Asura Deva Asuras who are not Devas. 20:34. Each Asura and Deva emerges from the same father Prajapati, share the same residence Loka, eat together the same food and drink Soma, and have innate potential knowledge and special powers. In Hindu mythology, the only thing that distinguishes Asura who become Deva from Asura who remain Asura is intent, action, and choices they make in their mythic lives. 24:35. Asuras who remain Asura share the character of powerful beings obsessed with their craving for ill-gotten soma and for wealth, ego, anger, unprincipled nature, force and violence. 36:37. Further, in Hindu mythology, when they lose, miss, or don't get what they want because they were distracted by their cravings, the Asuras who remain Asuras question, challenge and attack the Asuras who became Devas to loot or extract a portion of what the Devas have and the Asuras do not. 36:37. The hostility between the two groups is the source of extensive legends, tales, and literature in Hinduism. However, many texts discuss their hostility in neutral terms without explicit moral connotations or condemnation. 35. Some of these tales constitute the background of major Hindu epics and annual festivals, such as the story of Asura Ravana and Deva Rama in the Ramayana, and the legend of Asura Hiranyakashipu and Deva Vishnu as Narasimha. 35. The latter celebrated with the Hindu spring festival of Holika and Holi. 38. In Buddhist mythology, while all the gods of the Kamadhatu are subject to passions to some degree, the Asuras above all are addicted to them, especially wrath, pride, envy, insincerity, falseness, boasting, and bellicosity. The Asuras are said to experience a much more pleasurable life than humans, but they are plagued by envy for the Devas whom they can see just as animals perceive humans. Edelman and other scholars state that the dualistic concept of Asura and Deva in Hinduism is a form of symbolism found throughout its ancient and medieval literature. 39:40. In the Upanishads, for example, Devas and Asuras go to Prajapati to understand what is self-Atman, soul, and how to realize it. The first answer that Prajapati gives is simplistic, which the Asuras accept and leave with, but the Devas led by Indra do not accept and question because Indra finds that he hasn't grasped its full significance and the given answer has inconsistencies. 41. Edelman states that this symbolism embedded in the Upanishads is a reminder that one must struggle with presented ideas. Learning is a process and Deva nature emerges with effort. 41. Similar dichotomies are present in the Puranas literature of Hinduism, where God Indra Deva and the anti-god Vairocana and Asura question a sage for insights into the knowledge of the self. 41. Vairocana leaves with the first given answer, believing now he can use the knowledge as a weapon. In contrast, Indra keeps pressing the sage, churning the ideas and learning about means to inner happiness and power. E. Dealman suggests that the Deva-Asura dichotomies in Hindu mythology may be seen as narrative depictions of tendencies within ourselves. 41. The god Deva and anti-god Asura, states E. Dealman, are also symbolically the contradictory forces that motivate each individual and people, and thus Deva-Asura dichotomy is a spiritual concept rather than mere genealogical category or species of being. 42. In the Bhagavata Purana, saints and gods are born in families of asuras such as Mahabali and Prahlada, conveying the symbolism that motivations, beliefs and actions rather than one's birth and family circumstances define whether one is Deva-like or Asura-like. Asuri is the feminine of an adjective from Asura and in later texts means belonging to or having to do with demons and spirits. 43. Asuri parallels Asura in being powerful beings and in early Vedic texts includes all goddesses. 44. The term Asuri also means a Rakshasi in Indian texts. 45. 120-133. The powers of an Asuri are projected into plants, offering a remedy against leprosy. Asura's classical Tibetan romanized Lamin, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese Pinyin, Axuo Japanese romanized Asura. Asura are a type of supernatural being, anti-gods, demigods or non-god titans in traditional Buddhist cosmology, and a realm of rebirth based on one's karma in current or past lives. 52. They are described in Buddhist texts as creatures who live in lower levels of Mount Sumeru, obsessed with sensuous aspects of existence, living with jealousy and endlessly engaged in wars against the creatures who are Devas, gods. 53. As Buddhism spread into East Asia and Southeast Asia, the Asura concept of Indian Buddhism expanded and integrated local pre-existing deities as a part of regional Buddhist pantheon.